Good afternoon. Thank you very much for waiting. Just wrapping up the Ukraine NATO Council, and the Secretary General will have some information about that at his briefing coming up here shortly. Um, I do want to say it's been a great couple of days here in our nation's capital with the world leaders. A lot has got accomplished over these couple of days. If there was any regret on this summit, it was the fact that we didn't get a chance to have it in Texas. But it was good to have it here in the United States. It's always great to be with your NATO allies and friends as we talk about the important issues that are facing the world today. As we conclude this important NATO summit, I want to express my gratitude to all the leaders and delegates who have took part in our discussions over the past few days. The strength and unity of our alliance have once again been affirmed. We have addressed numerous critical issues, including collective defense, cybersecurity, and the ongoing challenges posed by climate change. Our commitment to the principle of mutual defense remains unwavering. We have agreed to bolster our defenses and enhance our readiness to respond to any threat that may arise. In our final communique, which came out yesterday, we outlined several key initiatives. The first one is cybersecurity. We have agreed to enhance our collective cybersecurity capabilities by sharing more intelligence and conducting joint exercises. A new center for cyber defense will be established to focus on rapid response and developing new technologies to protect our networks. On defense spending, each member nation has pledged to meet the 2% GDP target for defense spending. This commitment ensures that our alliance remains strong and capable, with each country investing in its own defense capabilities, while also contributing to NATO's collective efforts. We also focus on climate change, recognizing climate change as a critical security issue. NATO will integrate climate considerations into its planning and operations. This includes assessing the impact of climate change on our infrastructure and missions, and investing in sustainable and resilient technologies. Communications channels. We have agreed to establish a more robust communications channels to ensure timely and effective information sharing. This includes regular high-level meetings, enhanced use of secure communication technologies, and coordinated responses to emerging threats. On global security, we will continue to strengthen our partnerships with non-member countries through cooperative programs and joint exercises. NATO will also engage in diplomatic efforts to promote stability and security in regions beyond our immediate borders. Ukraine's future in NATO. We just finished talking about that just a few minutes ago. We have reaffirmed our commitment to supporting Ukraine in its aspirations to join NATO. While there are specific criteria that need to be met, we are working closely with Ukraine to help those that criteria be met, and necessary reforms and enhance their defense capabilities. Our door remains open, and we look forward to the day when Ukraine can join our alliance as a full member. And let me say this, there was a lot of discussion in the council meeting about this. I can't this afternoon tell you when that day is going to be. No, I don't think anybody in NATO, anybody on the council knows when it's going to be. I know that they're making the right moves and they're on the steps toward membership, but I do not know when that day is going to be. On hybrid warfare readiness, NATO is increasing its focus on hybrid threats, which combine conventional military power with tactics like cyber attacks and misinformation. We are enhancing our intelligence sharing mechanisms and investing in new technologies to detect and counter these threats effectively. Energy security. Energy security is critical for our collective defense. NATO is working to diversify energy sources and supply routes, protect critical energy infrastructure, and promote the resilience of our energy networks. We're also cooperating with partner countries to ensure a stable and secure energy supply. Terrorism and counterterrorism. It remains a top priority for NATO. We are enhancing our intelligence sharing and counterterrorism training programs, as well as supporting partner countries in building their own capabilities to combat terrorism. Additionally, we are working to address the root causes of terrorism through diplomatic and development efforts. And I think that's where a lot of this, I think that's where a lot of the terrorism comes from is these nations that don't, and this may sound a little wrong, but aren't in a formal government, let's say, and there's no guidance. And education, I think that's important too. We've got to educate our youth because all the terrorists that are doing these terrible things and have done terrible things around the world, where did that start? Where did that start? We've got to find the root cause to that and get that fixed. And I think this is a great move on the part of NATO to do this. On emerging technologies, NATO is committed to staying at the forefront of technological advances. We are investing in research and development for emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and quantum computing. These technologies will play a critical role in enhancing our operational capabilities and maintaining our technological edge. I'm confident that the decisions made during this summit will strengthen our alliance and contribute to the security and the stability of our member nations. Together, we will continue to uphold the values and principles that have guided NATO for over 7 decades. And let me just say this: that was a lot of talk over the last couple of days about the elections in our country, and I can tell you this for sure, that my administration is 100% committed to NATO, committed to the alliance. They do not have to worry, as long as I'm here, about the United States' commitment to that. We are 100% committed to NATO and to our partners. Think about it. You know, you've heard a lot about Article 5. Think about it. The only time that Article 5 was ever invoked was on September 11, 2001. And that's when NATO invoked it in defense of us. And Article 5 basically says an attack on one is an attack on all. And so they know that as long as my administration's in office, that they have my commitment to the alliance. Now, there are some questions that I know you guys have. I know they were submitted a little bit earlier. We did a little bit differently today, but I know they were submitted a little bit earlier, and I'll answer those questions. The first one was, can you elaborate on the specific measures NATO will take to address cybersecurity threats? Yeah, I mean, we have agreed to enhance our collective cybersecurity capabilities by sharing more intelligence and conducting joint exercises. We will also establish a new Center for Cyber Defense that will focus on rapid response and developing new technologies to protect our networks. And we will continue to invest in NATO. The second question is, how will the increased defense spending be distributed among member nations? Each member has committed to reaching the 2% GDP target in the next few years. This means that each country will invest in its own defense capabilities. We will also be contributing to NATO's collective efforts. Now, I want to say this about our elections on this side. Some of the candidates think as NATO being a protection scheme. It's not. There's not membership dues, so to speak. There are commitments made at these summits of what each member nation is committed to do. This week we found out there are, I believe, 23 member nations. 23 member nations that have reached 2% GDP. And that's a long ways from, 9 years ago. So we've come a long ways, and we're going to continue to move forward on that. What steps will will NATO take to address climate change as a security threat? And that's one thing I like about this. We have recognized that climate change as a critical security issue. NATO will integrate climate considerations into its planning and operations. This includes assessing the impact of climate change on infrastructure and missions, and investing in sustainable and resilient technologies. And just like with any other thing in our country, in our world, we are committed to making this planet a more healthier place for us to live, and for our children to live and generations to live. And they were asking about, can you provide more details on the new communications channels that are being established among NATO members? Yeah, we have agreed to establish more robust communications channels to ensure timely and effective information sharing. This does include regular high-level meetings, enhanced use of secure communications technologies, and coordinated responses to emerging threats. And that's one of the things that drives everything is the advancements in technology. Think about in your own home. I'll tell you an example of my own home back in Texas. When I was born in Dallas, we had this big, huge television. And Dallas at the time had 5 TV stations. 5. Maybe 4, but 5. And that's all you got. Now, at my home back in Texas, we have a flat screen. We have 150 plus TV stations. We kept up with technology. Every one of us in this room keeps up with technology. Everyone in this country, in the world, keeps up with technology. NATO should do the same thing as well, and that's what we're doing with this. And they ask, how does NATO plan to engage with non-member countries to enhance global security? We will continue to strengthen our partnerships with non-member countries through cooperative programs and joint exercises. NATO will also engage in diplomatic efforts to promote stability and security in regions beyond our immediate borders. And they're asking about how does NATO plan to address the ongoing conflicts in regions like Eastern Europe and the Middle East? Let me just say that NATO remains committed to promoting peace and stability in these regions through diplomatic efforts and where necessary, military support. We will continue to support our partners in Eastern Europe through enhanced forward presence in training and missions, while also working with international organizations to address the conflicts in the Middle East. Just like we talked about with Ukraine, we're going to develop a unified command, and it's going to have its forward operating post in Europe. So it's closer to the theater, closer to the front lines. And so that's one of the things that we did talk about in the last couple of days. What steps is NATO taking to enhance readiness against hybrid warfare tactics? Well, like I said, we're increasing our work on technology. We're focusing on hybrid threats, which combine conventional military power with tactics like cyber attacks and misinformation. We are enhancing our intelligence sharing mechanisms and investing in new technologies to detect and counter these threats effectively. And really, it gets back to what I said: keeping up with technology. Um, we do it we do it here in Washington. I'm sure we will do it at the NATO level. How will NATO ensure the protection of member states' sovereignty while increasing collective defense efforts? Well, the principle of collective defense does not compromise the sovereignty of individual member states. Each nation retains full control over its armed forces and decisions. Our collective defense efforts are based on mutual consent and cooperation, ensuring that all actions respect the sovereignty and independence of each member. We're not just going to come in and just take over a, a conflict or a operation. A good example would be 9/11 when Article 5 was put in effect. NATO simply asked, "What do you need from us? What do you need in support of that terrible day on September 11th?" So that's what it's going to be. It will be a situation where the member nations are asking the nation in need what they need, and we'll provide the support needed to do that. Can you address NATO's stance on emerging technologies and their impact on future military operations? And it gets back to what I've said the last couple of questions. We're fully committed to staying at the forefront of technological advancements. We are investing in research and development for emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and quantum computing. These technologies will play a critical role in enhancing our operational capabilities and maintaining our technological edge. And it's again, it sounds repetitive, but it is keeping up with technology, trying to stay one step ahead of technology. How does the plan to address the growing influence of China on global security dynamics? Let's clarify that question one more time. How does NATO plan to address the growing influence of China on global security dynamics? NATO recognizes the significant impact of China's rise on global security. While we do not see China as an adversary, we are closely monitoring its activities and prepared to address any challenges that arise. We are also engaging in dialogue with China to promote transparency and reduce the risk of misunderstandings. What measures will NATO take to improve integration and coordination of its forces? That is a good question. We are enhancing our joint training programs and initiatives to ensure that NATO forces can operate seamlessly together. This includes standardizing equipment and procedures, as well as conducting regular multinational exercises to build trust and coordination among member states. And really, back home in Texas, at just not too far from Fort Worth, in Wichita Falls, that's a NATO training base. That's where NATO pilots come in to train with our military here in the United States. So it is going. How does NATO plan to support its member countries in responding to natural disasters and humanitarian crises? Well, NATO has established frameworks for providing assistance during natural disasters and humanitarian crisis. We will continue to enhance our rapid response capabilities and coordinate with each other international organizations to ensure timely and effective support to member countries in need. And they want to ask, explaining how NATO is addressing the threat of terrorism. Counterterrorism remains a top priority that we're working on for NATO. We are enhancing our intelligence sharing and counterterrorism programs, as well as supporting partner countries and building their own capabilities to combat terrorism. Additionally, we are working to address the root causes of terrorism through diplomatic and development efforts. What is NATO's approach to ensuring energy security for its member nations? Energy security is critical for our collective defense. NATO is working to diversify energy sources and supply routes to protect critical infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and promote the resilience of our energy networks. We are also cooperating with partner countries to ensure a stable and secure energy supply. And the next one is how can you provide more details on Ukraine's path to NATO membership? Well, like I said in the statement, there's a lot of things that have to be worked out. One of the critical things that I think we all need to look at is where this falls within Article 5, because that again, like I said earlier, that states that attack on one is attack on all. So what we're presented with is at the very moment Ukraine is accepted into NATO membership, we're at war with Russia. We do not want war. That's the last thing we want. But the way it's written is when membership is granted, we're at war. So we need to work out the details of how we're going to let that happen during this conflict, or wait until the conflict's over with and pursue membership then. But I will tell you that Ukraine is on a path to NATO membership. Like I said earlier, it just depends. I don't know when that day is going to be, but they are on the path for that. I do thank everyone very much. I want to thank all of our NATO partners for coming to the United States. It's been a great couple of days here in Washington. I know that we've got a lot of work done. And so, again, like I said, it's always good to see your NATO partners. A lot of us, we just saw each other just a few weeks ago at the G7 summit in Italy. So this is just a quick reunion, but it's good to see everybody. And I wish everybody safe travels back home. And I am headed off to Texas. So thank you guys very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.